Hi, this is Elaine, and today I'm just going to give you a little briefing on skincare and preparing the skin for makeup. I think it's really important at our age, certainly if you're over 50, that we really do take time in preparing our skin before we put the makeup on. It just makes such a difference to the way the makeup looks. So imagine that you've just cleaned your skin either with a soap or with a cream cleanser, and you're ready to start putting on your makeup in the morning. I would say that you need a really good base cream. I mean, you can start with a serum, and serums are the very latest buzzword in beauty, and they are antioxidant ingredients, usually based in an oil or an oil liquid that you put on before any moisturiser. And the serums that we have today are really very, very good. I would highly recommend Boots serum. They actually did a test where they looked at lots of women, made them use the serum, and they did find that it made a difference to the skin. Nothing, I honestly promise you, will actually penetrate beneath the skin and change the way our cells reproduce or the way our skin is structured. And any cream that claims to do that really isn't being honest. Creams are there basically to plump and hydrate our skin. The best creams will give us a lovely, smooth, glowing complexion. It doesn't matter on the cost either. I mean, some of the cheapest creams are just as effective as some of the expensive creams. I would say Pond's moisturising, Nivea moisturising creams, the Garnier, the Oil of Olay, they're all just as good as the very expensive ones. It's just a variety in ingredients and packaging. But I would honestly say try your local pharmacy. They come up with some fantastic skin creams. It's a lesson I learned from France, where most of the women buy their skincare in a pharmaceutical environment, and some of the creams that they sell in the pharmacy are actually just as good as the very expensive creams containing those ingredients. One of them is a thing called Topta. It's a company that I've discovered in Lloyd's Pharmacy, and they do a variety of creams for different types of skin texture. And all the ones I've tested, this one's for rosacea because I tend to get a lot of high colouring, is excellent. But the one I'm going to use today is Topta, which has hyaluronic acid. And if you are looking to plump out your skin and give it the best start to a makeup, go for something with hyaluronic acid. It's not an acid, it's just an ingredient that helps plump the skin out, helps hydrate it. And so this one wasn't very expensive, and you only need a small amount of the moisturising cream. One of our biggest mistakes I think we make is, because we're so desperate to make sure we don't have this dry, scaly skin, we slap on the moisturiser far too much, which actually has the opposite effect. If you put too much on, the skin works even harder to try and absorb it. So it doesn't really do much for the skin at all. A pea-sized amount is all you will need. Too much cream and you end up with clogged pores, you end up with sticky skin. It's not a good look. So if you're going for this particular cream, this is called the Topta Hydrative, and I would highly recommend it. Just a small pea-sized amount. It's a gel, which in the summer is actually a really nice sort of cooling liquid. Put it on your skin, just rub it in gently or pat it in. Don't have to pull the skin in all directions, a little bit under the chin, and that's your first layer. The second layer I would suggest is that you put on a sun protection. Maximum sun factor 50 is the most appropriate, and I tend to see that, I know they can be put into moisturisers, they can be put into foundations, but I like actually just to use a sun factor cream because it's totally dedicated to protecting your skin from the sun. And Aveeno, or there's a Solel. Again, if you go to a pharmacy, you will see some excellent skin creams that have a factor 50 in it, sun creams with a factor 50, and nothing less than a factor 50 will do. So after you put your moisturiser on, put your sun cream on. When you've done that, then it's time to put on what I think is the key ingredient to making makeup look so good, and that's a primer. Like the primers you get in decoration, they prepare the surface for a really long-lasting application. In the case of decorative paint that lasts longer, it basically smooths the surface. It gives a really good surface for any extra decoration that you want to put on it. In the case of paint, what a primer does is it smooths out the walls. It makes it easier for the paint to adhere to the wall, and it just basically gives a better, longer lasting look to the paint. It's the same with a primer and makeup. What a primer and makeup does is it gives us the best surface for applying a foundation, which doesn't slip off, which doesn't go patchy, which keeps its promise and stays on the skin. And actually also, because you've got a primer, it gives you a sort of lovely glow to the skin. It's like putting silk onto your skin. The best primer I've found is a primer from a company called Look Fabulous Forever. They're on the internet. They're specifically aimed at older women. And this primer is just superb. It's clear. When you put it on, it feels as if you're rubbing your face into a silk sheet or a silk pillow. And it just gives the most fabulous texture to your skin. And it really works. Makeup lasts longer. It looks better. It doesn't drip off in the sun. And it doesn't go patchy. So again, just a little pea-sized amount on the back of your hand. Rub it in. Pat it into your skin, and it really does make a difference to the texture of your skin. You feel as if you're actually just sort of smoothing out the open pores, all the lumps and the bumps. It's great, and it does do what the label says it does. When you put the primer on, then you can put your foundation on. Now, it's up to you. I have no real preference. I love what we call the powder foundations, and this one's by Tropic, which is a new skincare company. A bit like Avon, you have a representative that sells it. You also get the fabulous ones from Bare Minerals as well. And they are translucent powders made of ground up minerals that don't harm the skin, have nothing in it that is going to make you react to it. And even though we're older and we're advised against using powder, this particular form of powder is actually very good. And what you do is you use a brush, and I've got one here, brush it into the tin. So it's swirl the brush around, tap any excess off, and then really rub it into the skin as often as you can. Just rub, and you've got this lovely, soft texture. And it doesn't feel like you're putting powder on the skin. It just feels as if you are stroking the skin and giving it a bit of a glow. So again, on this half of my face, I'm using my Tropic. Swirled it round, tap the excess off, swirl it into the skin, and rub it in as much as you can, because that's what makes it last and that's what makes it look so good. So that is what we call the translucent powder formula for foundation. And of course the other formula is the liquid formula that comes here. Now for summer, I find that these are quite heavy, so I like to use what we call I suppose you describe it as a tinted moisturiser. And the best ones I think are Clinique and Clarins. And I've got the Clinique one. It's just a very light foundation. It has a very airy feel to it. It doesn't feel as if it's clogging up the skin. And I rub it between my hands just to give it that, sort of work it in a bit, and then put it onto the skin. And on this side, I'm using my tinted moisturiser. I don't want a heavy foundation on, just enough to protect my skin and even it out. So that's the tinted moisturiser, and that's how I'm going to leave it there. Obviously, afterwards you apply a blusher and you can apply bronzer, because those shape. Where you apply a blush or bronzer will be where you want to shape your face, maybe lessen puffy cheeks, maybe give you a bit more of a contoured face. And if you use them properly, they can make such a difference to the shape and the look of your face. So that will be our next video. But I hope this helps. And as I say, go to your local pharmacy, Lloyd's, Boots, go to the pharmaceutical part and look to see what they sell in the ranges of skincare. And I can highly recommend some of the things. There are French makes that are there that are really good. And as I say, this make I particularly am impressed with, called Tulpa. Thank you very much.